You're welcome once again to this tutorial. Okay, so this tutorial is beginners friendly. So, and in this tutorial, we are going to retouch this picture step by step without using any presets, any plugins, or even using AI. Okay, so I decided to do this step by step, just manual retouching. So if you're a beginner, you know how you can process a picture manually without using any presets, AI, or any plugins. Okay. So as you can see, this picture is raw. Okay. And this is camera raw filter. And as you can see, the color is okay. The balancing is okay. The lighting is okay. So what I will do is to click open. So the picture will open in Photoshop. So as you can see this picture right here, this picture is open in Photoshop. So the next thing I will do is to create the frequency separation for this picture. And if you look at this picture right here, this picture is on 16 bits. So this is 16 bits picture right here. And what we need to do is to duplicate this image twice. Command J twice or Control J. Okay. So what we are going to do is frequency separation on 16-bit image. So we are going to separate the tone of this picture right here, the tone, which is the color. We're going to separate it from the texture. So the texture will have its own layer and the tone will be on its own layer. Okay. So that is what we are going to do. So as you have duplicated this picture twice, so this one will serve as the tone. Okay. It will contain the tone, and this will serve as the texture. It will contain the texture. And because this picture is on 16 bits, what we are doing is frequency separation on 16 bits. Okay. So, and remember, we are going to retouch this image using frequency separation, and it will look more beautiful and realistic. And we are going to do overall retouching, both the skin toning, both cleaning of the eyes. We are going to publish this picture overall. Okay. So, that's what we are going to do. Is a step-by-step tutorial. So as we have renamed these two layers, the tone and the texture, we turn off the texture tone, the texture layer here, and make the tone layer active. Then right here, we are going to apply a blur on the tone layer, the blur that will enable the skin to be softened when we are retouching the skin. Okay. So we have to go to filter here. They will go to blur. They will go to Gaussian blur. Okay. So this is Gaussian blur. So right here in the Gaussian blur, what you need to pay attention to as a beginner watching this tutorial is that there is no particular amount of blur for retouching of your image. Okay. So because image differs, qualities of pictures differs, and also megapixel differs also. So it depends on image you are working on. So as you can see, this image right here, 3 is not enough to retouch this image. What we look at for is the amount of blur that will blur your image, and you can still see your textures a little. Okay, so now let's move this blur. This is 5. Let's move this 6. Okay, 6 plus 8. So let's leave this at 7. So as you can see right here, this 7 blur is perfect for this image. Now if you zoom this image, you can see the textures a little, but the image is still blur. So something of this result is what we will focus on. Any amount of your radius that will give you this result is what you will stop. There is no particular amount. Okay, so I can be working on a different picture now that is maybe lower in lower in quality, and I have to reduce my blur. It depends on what is the amount that gives me this result. I might be working on a picture that is higher in quality, and I will go higher on the radius. Okay, so there is no particular amount of blur to add here. Okay, so that's what you need to know. So, and you click OK. So right here, as you can see, we have blurred the textures of this image right here. So now we have to turn on we have blurred the texture, okay, of this tone. Okay, so now we have to turn on the texture layer. Yeah, so what we are going to do next is to make sure that all the textures will be on this layer. So this is the tone layer. The tone layer is the one that will blur the textures, okay? The one that will work on, okay? So, and this blur will enable the skin to soften when we are brushing, okay? So now we'll go to texture, make texture layer active. Now right here, we have to go to image and you go to apply image. Okay, so right here in apply image, this is where you do the settings that will differentiate your 8-bit and 16-bit image. You know, the settings are different, but this image is on 16-bit. So what we do right here is to, inside this layer, this merge, we have to choose our tone. Okay, so because we want to even take the textures that is on the tone layer to put together on the texture layer. So every texture will be on the texture layer. That's what we are going to do. Okay, and you make sure that your channel is on RGB. Okay, and make sure that your blending mode is on add. Okay, so put your blending mode on add because you are working on 16-bit image, and make sure your opacity is 100, and or your scale here is 2 and offset here is 0. Okay, so this is the settings you need, and you turn on this invert. Okay, so once you turn on this invert, you get this result. Okay, so this is how it will look like. You click OK. Okay, so right here, as you can see, right here, what you need to do is to change the blending mode of this texture from this side. Now you put it on linear lights, and this is linear light to bring it back to normal. So as you can see right here, this picture is normal, but we have we have created the frequency separation. So the next thing we are going to do again is to group these two layers together. Okay, so Command G or Control G. So we name it FX 16 bits. FX 16 bits. Okay. Okay, so now this is our tone and our texture. Okay, so now we are going to work on the tone. So we make the tone active and we pick our mixer brush tool here. This is our mixer brush tool. So we always make sure that you are on soft round brush. Okay, and right here, always make sure that your smoothing is the only thing you can turn on here, or you can as well turn on your protect texture. But I love turning on only my smoothing. Okay, so you turn it on, and here you change your brush to clean brush here. So, and you make sure that the first brush here is off, and you turn on the second brush here. Okay, so you'll be on custom, and right here, these settings right here, it depends on what you can actually control. Okay, so as you can see, I'm using 60, 60, 100, 60. So, but if you are a beginner and you can't control this 60, 60, 60, what you will do is to reduce it to what you can control. So you reduce it to a point that when you are brushing, you won't spoil your image, okay? To the amount that won't spoil your image, because some people cannot control this high amounts. If you brush, it will flow, the brush will flow excess and destroy your image, okay? So you have to drop it down. So I will recommend you use 20, 20, 20 or 15, 15, 15 or 30, 30, 30 if you are a beginner. At least you start from there before you master it, okay? So, but I'm using 60, 60, 60 right here. So now we are going to retouch this image. And as a beginner looking at this image, you will notice that this image has two sides of it, which is the highlight and the shadow part of the image. Okay. So this is the highlight side of this image. This is the highlight side of this image. All these places that has more lights are the highlight side of this image, as you can see. These are the highlight side of this image, and we have the shadow part of this image, the places that has more shadow that are dark. Okay, so now what you know is that when you are working on your image, you make sure that when you are mixing with mixer brush, you make sure that you mix the highlight with the highlight and mix the shadow with the shadow. Okay, so now let's mix. Okay, so and this is, let's start with the highlight side. So now if I'm mixing this highlight side, I will remain on the highlight side. Okay, as you can see, this is how I mix cycle. I'll be mixing like I'm drawing cycle on the image, because I want my image to look as real as possible. I don't want to change the tone or overdo it or disfigure the body. So this is how I mix. So when you are mixing, you don't move your brush. Like this is the highlight. You don't move it this way. As you can see, if you do it, you will spoil your image, as you can see. So you don't do it. You mix highlight with highlight and you mix shadow with shadow. Okay, so this is highlight. We remain on the highlight. So this is how I mix. Okay, and as you can see, I am increasing and decreasing my brush size so to fit into the place I'm mixing. So when you're mixing, you pay attention to your detail. So as you can see, I've moved to the shadow part of this image. So you can see what I'm doing. So this is how you mix. You draw circle. So if you want to get a high-end retouching, this is how you mix. Okay, so keep watching this picture and watch how we are going to transform this picture to high-end picture, and it will look standard, way published, and also realistic, which is the most important thing. Okay, so this is our before and after. Okay, as you can see, there are a lot of changes there. So let's continue mixing. So, and one thing I need to let you know as a retoucher or as a photographer watching this tutorial, sometimes you will do everything, but it seems as if you are not getting the best result when you are retouching. And sometimes there is this kind of retouch that you want to get, but you are not getting it. You feel like maybe there is extra something that those people are doing, or that is the magic that those people are doing. See, one thing you need to know is that retouching started from your shooting. Okay. So to get a best result when you are retouching, you must get a good result when you are shooting. So you shoot well first if you want a good result. So sometimes it's not that you don't know how to retouch, or maybe you are doing it in a wrong way, but might be your the issue might be your shooting. So make sure that if you are a photographer, you shoot well, because in retouching, we know that some people call it magic, but that is not actually the magic you can do to get a bad picture to be looking like a well produced picture that you snapped well. So the magic is not there. So you have to snap well to get a nice result during your post production. Okay. So as you can see how I'm taking this gently, and what you need to know again, when you are retouching, you don't do retouching in a hurry. You have to take your time, because retouching is what you pay attention to details. So it's not what you do in a hurry. You have to take your time. Right? Master your retouching before you think of applying speed. So, and also, if you want a fast retouch, maybe you have a lot of picture and you want to retouch it fast. Inside this, my all-in-one presets here, as you can see, I have fast retouch 1, fast retouch 2, fast retouch 3, and a brush. All these things are fast retouch. You just have to click on it and it will load. You just use your normal brush to and paint it all over. And also, it will give you a professional result if you try it out. Okay. So So you can see how I'm taking my time on this image and a lot is transforming. So another thing is that when you are working on the nose, you always be careful with the nose so not to spoil the nose, because if you spoil the nose, it will affect the whole picture. The look will definitely change. You don't want to do that. So now let's check our before and after. This is before and this is after. Before and this is after. You can see how this picture is looking right now. So this is how you retouch. You take your time. And like I promised earlier, I'm not going to use any preset here. I have this preset, all these presets that will make this work fast and easy. But this tutorial is for beginners. It's a step by step, it's the manual retouch. Okay. So so as you can see, I'm working on the nose and I'm taking it gently. Okay. So not to spoil the nose. And another thing you need to know, remember, you can't get same result in all pictures that you are working on. There are some pictures you work on, the result will be different from the other, because pictures are not actually same thing. Okay, different lighting, different effects, different concepts. You know. So, but what matters is for you to master skin retouching. So once you meet any picture, you already know what to do. Okay, so now let's work on the neck. Okay, so before we check our overall retouching, if we did a something nice or if there is any correction. So when you are retouching, what you need to know is that it's just a little changes. Little changes is what matters. Little changes is what you are looking for, not that big changes. Don't over retouch or you destroying the picture or changing the picture from the look. No, that is not retouching. Retouching is when you make the picture look more beautiful and also realistic. So you expect that small changes, not that big changes. That small changes that matters a lot. That is what you expect while you're retouching. Okay, let's check our before and after. So you can see the little changes that matters a lot on the chest before and after. You can see that there are a lot of changes, and but it's still looking realistic. Okay, so that's what I'm talking about. You don't expect big changes. You expect those little changes that matters a lot on your picture. Okay. Okay, as you can see, we have moved over to the face again because I really need to face the face well. So that is how you go all around your image when you are retouching. Make sure that you fix what need to be fixed, but not to change the picture. Okay, so this is this picture right here. This is this picture. So let's do before and after, before and after. So you can see how this picture is looking. So the next thing we are going to do is to pick out some of those pimples out from her face. Okay. So, and to do that, we make our texture layer active. Remember, when we are creating the frequency separation, we separated the textures and the tone, putting them in two different layers. So that means these pimples, wrinkles, all the blemishes are on textures layer. So to remove it, we have to work with the textures layer. Okay, so we pick our clone stamp tool. Okay, so I always make sure that the hardness is 100. Sometimes you can drop it down. Depends on what you are working on. Sometimes when you are picking these pimples, it will be giving some mark. So if you get such results, just drop the hardness down a little. Okay, so that's what you do. And now this is how you remove. You increase the size of your brush to fit into the spot you want to remove. Now you click your alternative, pick. Once you click your alternative, your cursor will change. Okay, so you pick from the good side of the skin close to the spot. You pick, you left click to pick, and you release. You release the alternative and click on the spot to pick it out. Okay, so that is how you pick. Okay, so now I have to reduce the hardness of this constant brush. Okay, so it won't give any mark on the image. Okay, so this is how you pick out those stuffs. So you really take your time, zoom in and zoom out to make sure that you are removing the right thing that you need to remove. Okay, you can see what I'm doing. So I really don't want you to get bored. I really want you to learn. I'm not a type that fast forward tutorials. Okay. So my tutorials always step by step. I don't like hiding hands or fast forwarding a process. I love to show everything. If there is a mistake, you see it and you see how to correct it. So, because I believe that this is a tutorial where you learn from. So that is how I do my tutorials. Okay. So let's pick out these. Okay. So this is nice. Okay. So now this picture is looking clean and also clean and realistic. This is before and after. Before and after. This picture is looking clean and realistic right here. And now what we need to work on again is to work on the we have to work on the eyes. Okay, so to make it to make it white. Okay, so what we need to do like this is to there are many ways you can do it. You can use your hue and saturation. Okay, and you drop down this red here. As you can see, you drop down this red, then you invert this mask here, Command I or Control I, and pick your brush tool. Then you paint on the white side of the eyes. Many ways to do this in Photoshop on the white side of the eyes. Okay, so now you have to drop the opacity a little. Now, if you drop the opacity a little to your satisfaction, but if you want it more whiter, you will duplicate the layer, Command J or Control J. You change the blending mode to this is color dodge. Color dodge is fine also, or you can also put it on soft lights. Okay, so let's go with color dodge. Okay, so now as you can see right here, the eyes is white. Now you can group the two layers. Command G or Control G. So now if it's asset, you can actually drop the opacity of the group. Okay. Now, as you can see right here, this is the eyes before, and this is the eyes now. Now, as you can see right here, the eyes is white and also realistic, or some of the veins are still there. Okay, so this is before and this is after, before and after. So there are many ways you can actually do this in Photoshop, and in this my all-in-one preset under this eyes retouch button, I have one, two, three, four. I have about four types of four different presets to use clean your eyes also if you are using my preset. But this is a step-by-step tutorial, so I'm not using any preset on it. Okay. So now we have cleaned the eyes, and the next thing we are going to do again is to do skin tone. This image is already looking nice. What we just need to do is to spice the skin tone a little. Okay. So, and this is how you can actually get, you can use camera raw filter, but let's use Photoshop. This is how you can actually get a black skin tone, melanin skin tone, to spice all the skin tone. So we have to go to our adjustment here. And we have to go to the black and white adjustment. Now, this black and white adjustment, what you need to do is to play around with you have to play around with the blending modes here. Okay, you check the one that worked the best for your picture. This is multiply. As you can see, multiply makes this image more dark and it's still okay. Okay, you can still adjust it, but let's move and check the best for this image. So this is how you can actually get a nice skin tone, melanin skin tone. Okay, so this is overlay and this is soft light. Okay, overlay and soft light. So let's click on overlay. So this is what overlay gives us. Now we have to create another black and white adjustment here, another black and white adjustment, and this second black and white adjustment will change the blending mode to soft light to get something like this. Now what we need to do again also is to go here. Okay, let's group the two together. This group together first. This black and white adjustment, Control G. Now we have to drop the opacity a little because we don't want it to be this dark, dark melanin. Okay. So now we drop the opacity. Okay. So this opacity is on 50. This is before and this is after. This is before and this is after. Okay, so if you don't want it this way also, let's drop it down again to 40. Okay, so I think 40 is okay. Now as you can see, with this 40 we've gotten a nice melanin skin tone. Okay, this is before and this is after. Before, after, you can see how we achieve this melanin skin tone without using any preset here. Okay, but I want this to have a little feel of chocolate skin. Okay, so what I will do is to go here. I have to go here and also go to my selective color. Now I have to switch the colors to red and I have to move red a little. I have to add a little red. Then I switch back to yellow and I have to add a little yellow. Okay, so now as you can see how this image is looking. So this is how this image is looking now. Let's group this together. So now we have already gotten this skin tone. Okay. So now what we need to do again in this image, let's give some, we need to sharpen this image. Okay. So there are many ways you can sharpen image in Photoshop. Like I told you, I'm not going to use action. So what we are going to do is we are going to go to camera raw filter, and before we do that, we have to create an invisible layer. Okay, and to do that, you press Shift Command Alternative E. Okay, so as you can see, we have created this invisible layer. So now let's go to filter and camera raw filter. So here in camera raw filter, we have to let's zoom so we can see, because what we want to do is just to sharpen this image here in camera raw filter. So now let's scroll down, and this is texture. We add a little texture here. Add a little texture. So I leave this on plus 30. So I scroll down and add a little grain. Okay. So this grain is on 6. So this is sharpen. I add a little sharpen here. So this sharpen is on 20. I don't want it much. I click OK. Okay. So this image, as you can see, this image, this is before and this is after, before and this is after. So I don't want this sharpening to be much. Okay. So the next thing I'm going to do again is to the lipstick. I need to pop out the lipstick. So what I'm going to do is to duplicate this invisible layer here. Command J. And I'm going to change the blending mode of this to soft light. This is soft light, okay? So now I have to add a layer mask on it and invert, command I. So, or control I. So I have to pick my brush tool and paint only on the lips. Okay. So as you can see, if this is much, you can drop the opacity to your satisfaction. Okay. So now this image is looking nice. This image is looking nice this way. Let's merge this together, command E or control E. So, and I will have to take this image to camera raw filter again to do some few balancing. Okay. So now let's take this to camera raw filter. So here in camera raw filter, what I will do is this temperature here, I play along with it. Okay. So I get this color that looks like gold. Okay, so I get this golden color. Mind you, this melanin is still okay. But like I told you, let me just play around with this picture. So I achieve this golden color, and which is nice. So the black here, I add a little black to give it contrast. So I achieve something like this. And I have to I have to scroll down a little and add a little saturation on it. Okay. So this is nice. And I add a little highlights. Okay, so I add a little highlights, yeah, and that is that. So I click OK. So this is our picture right here. This is before and this is after. This is before and after, before and after. Now, if you pay attention to this picture, you notice that I didn't do any dodge and burn on this picture. That is to show you that it is not all image that requires dodge and burn. Dodge and burn simply means highlight and shadow. And from the creation of this image, you already see that the highlights and the shadows are visible enough. So doing dodge and burn will make them more exposed. Okay. So now as you can see how this picture turns out to be before and after, high end and also looking realistic and well published. Okay. So this is how you can retouch a picture like this. And also, you might be wondering why I didn't remove these stretch marks. Sometimes all these stretch marks and freckles are part of the human feature. Not all pictures you remove it. Okay. So this is it for this tutorial. Okay, so if you watch this tutorial to this end, you are a pro, and don't forget to keep practicing. There is no extra magic in retouching. You just have to practice more. Okay, and also you can get this my all-in-one preset. The link is on my description, on my bio. Okay, so you can get it to make your work easier for you. Okay, so and they have other packs also like the brush, retouching brush packs, and also different skin tone packs that can work on your Photoshop and Premiere Pro. So you can use the link on my description, the link on my bio, and get it. And also thank you for watching, and I will see you in my next tutorial.